Good evening. The September 4th, 2024 meeting of the San Mateo County Board of Education will come to order. As is our practice, this meeting will be recorded. As Vice President, I will be chairing the meeting as Board President Benini is unable to attend tonight. I warmly welcome our Youth Commission Liaison, Bethany Zhao, joining us at the dais. Hello. The board provides remote access for members of the public and welcomes community members joining in person and remotely. The board is following the requirement of Assembly Bill AB 2449, which enables remote participation by board members only under specific circumstances. We use simultaneous interpretation in Spanish for those attending virtually through the end of public comment. Translation will continue further into the meeting if people are utilizing the channel. Thank you to our interpreters, Ana Cruz and Lucy Navarro, for joining us remotely. For meeting attendees wishing to access the Spanish translation channel on Zoom, click on the interpretation button on the menu bar. We ask all speakers to be mindful of the Spanish interpretation and speak slowly and clearly. I ask board members to speak directly into the microphone and remind speakers wearing masks to remove their mask when speaking in order to be clearly heard by all attendees. Item 1B is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion to approve the agenda made by Trustee Gerard and a second by Trustee Alvaro. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 5. And the agenda for tonight's meeting has been approved. Item 2 is the public comment. Guidelines for public comment are available on the SMCOE website and in board docs, as well as on the table outside the boardroom in both English and Spanish. If there are speakers who require Spanish interpretation, our interpreters, Ms. Cruz and Ms. Navarro, will interpret following each speaker's comments. At this time, members of the public may provide comment for topics not included on the approved agenda. The County Board of Education does not act upon any matter that has not been agendized except under limited circumstances as permitted by law. It is the policy of the County Board to refer matters raised in this forum to the Superintendent for investigation and/or action where appropriate. Superintendent McGee, do we have any comments submitted prior to the meeting?
We do not.
Thank you. Speakers are invited to make live comment and have 3 minutes to speak. The board's executive assistant, Jennifer Perna, will keep the time and advise when the speaker has 30 seconds left. Please keep within the time limits. To make a comment over Zoom, members of the public may use the raise hand feature. Instructions for using this feature are provided as an attachment in the board packet. Once the hand is raised, please wait to be acknowledged by Superintendent McGee. Superintendent McGee, are there any members of the public attending remotely who wish to make a comment at this time?
We have one hand raised, Janice Pellizzari. Janice, I think you can go ahead and speak.
Okay. Good evening, Vice President Torres and members of the board, Superintendent McGee and guests. I'm here to let you know school has started. The first week was a little rough. It's gotten better every week after that, and we're still in a better place than we were last year at this time. We've been working with CT, 2 of us, and it was tough and the kids weren't too into it, but it has totally turned around thanks to Dawn and her team and Sarah and Chris for helping supporting us, and Laura is in the classroom with us, working with us. So it's getting stronger and better as we go. I have to say, I believe all programs started out good. There's no complaints going on from anybody. So it's been a very, very positive start to this school year. It's nice seeing you all, and that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Members of the public may also provide live comments in person. Superintendent McGee, are there any submitted cards?
No, we don't have any cards.
Thank you. A public comment addressing a specific agenda item will be heard after the board's questions, comments, and discussion on the item. If members of the public wish to speak to a specific agenda item, please use the raise hand feature when the item is announced, or if in person, submit a card in advance of the item. Item 3A is the September 2024 Employee of the Month, Sarah Light, a Student Services Specialist, Educational Services Division. Will Sarah please join me in the middle of the room? So each month, the board and the superintendent recognize an employee for providing outstanding service. For the month of September, we recognize Sarah Light, Student Services Specialist in the Early Education Related Services Program. Sarah joined the county office in January 2023, and her exceptional contributions continue to make a positive impact on the school programs. Sarah expertly manages multiple databases, ensuring accuracy and efficiency in all aspects of her work. She handles the complex and detailed task of compiling state reports for attendance, student data, special education, and the lunch program. That's a lot, with precision and reliability. Her ability to navigate the intricacies of the California State Preschool Program enrollment process demonstrates her deep understanding of the system and commitment to accuracy. Sarah demonstrates impressive multitasking abilities by balancing work for multiple programs across 2 locations. In addition to her many other responsibilities, Sarah handles the details of the school breakfast and lunch programs with dedication, from weekly orders to monthly reports, even checking refrigerators to ensure all students have what they need. You really do it all. This keeps going. Okay, Sarah exhibits an unwavering commitment to producing high quality work, and she consistently works ahead to meet deadlines, displaying a level of diligence and inspires those around her. Even under challenging circumstances, Sarah remains flexible and adaptive, always ready to tackle any obstacle with grace. Sarah's sense of humor is a breath of fresh air, creating an enjoyable and positive atmosphere for her colleagues. She is also a caring and kind individual, and as the first person of contact for many families seeking services for their children. She approaches every interaction with patience, thoughtfulness, and a genuine desire to help. Her positive relationships with families, children, and colleagues alike are a testament to her exceptional character and work ethic. We are proud of our County Office of Education staff and are pleased to recognize Sarah Light for her outstanding work. Congratulations to Sarah for being named Employee of the Month for September 2024. And normally we have some extra gifts for you, but those are in process. Would you like to say a few words?
Can everybody hear me? Okay. Good evening, Board Vice President Torres, the board, Superintendent McGee, guests. I'm very grateful to be recognized tonight. I didn't think it would. Sorry. As somebody that hasn't been part of SMCOE for even 2 years, I was very surprised and humbled, and I'm honored, really. I think the most honest and simplest way that I can explain myself is that I love what I do. I find that I live to work since joining SMCOE. I think the best example of why I live to work is best described. It relates to our CSPP at the Ann Campbell Center. The CSPP is a California state preschool. And actually, now that I think about it, next Wednesday is our official 12-month mark with having students in our classroom. So that's getting this program off the ground has been a labor of love, day in, day out. There's been a few tears. But what carries us through to the next week is that we know we're doing good and we're providing families with excellent preschool at little to no cost for the family. The one example that best describes why I love what I do, names have been omitted. He was one of the first students that we enrolled a year ago. They were a foster student at the time, very much on the autism spectrum. When he came to us on the first day of school, he could barely make eye contact with us. But we knew we only had about a year with him, and then he was aging out to go to kindergarten. So it was all hands on deck. And it was very hard not to get attacked. I don't know how teachers do it, to say goodbye to students every year. And we knew that he would be aging out in the middle of August. We knew the day was coming. And in the last few days of his enrollment with us, we learned that he was being adopted by a forever family. And it, like that was it for us. We knew that in like the 11 months that he was in our program, we were able to provide a safe and stable and engaging environment for him to help him transition into kindergarten. So much so that on his last day of school, his guardian walked him past the front desk, and we always say goodbye to him. We knew, we didn't expect a response, but I'll be damned. He looked up at us and he waved goodbye, and like we could have knocked us over with a feather. And yeah, that's the best example of why I love coming to work every day, to be part of such a crucial time in a child's life, even though I'm not in the classroom per se, to be able to help facilitate that and to be part of something so much bigger than myself and to give back to the community. That's it. Like that's the whole point of coming to work every day for me. With that being said, I would be nothing without the support of my supervisors and my coworkers. Specifically at the Ann Campbell Center, Principal Heather Logan and our office manager, Annette Ordonez. And at Palos Verdes, Principal Ellen Paulino and Office Manager James Wong. And last but not least, Sarah Notch. I would only be able to do a fraction of what I do without the support of these people. So it's very much a team effort. So I can't take all the credit, unfortunately. But I thank you very much for recognizing me tonight, and I will continue to go forward and do my best work. Thank you very much.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Item 4A is the introduction to Luis Rodriguez, EDD Coordinator for Multilingual Support Services, Educational Services Division. Coordinator Rodriguez.
Yes.
Good evening, Board Vice President Torres, members of the board, and Superintendent McGee. My name is Luis Rodriguez, and I'm honored to stand before you this evening as a member of the San Mateo County Office of Education team. I was invited to join the Curriculum and Instruction Services Department on July 1st as Coordinator of Multilingual Support Services. Since day one, I have been delighted in being part of a warm and supportive group of colleagues and of an organization which centers students in all the work that we do. These past couple of months, I have shadowed colleagues, supported the facilitation of professional development at a partner district, working to meet the needs of our multilingual and English learners, joined a team to provide support to another district, and are continuously reaching out to district partners to build relationships to strengthen the work of our organization in service of students and families. As a SIFE, or student with interrupted formal education from Mexico, who moved to the United States at age 15, I understood and understand the visible and invisible barriers that our newcomer and multilingual learners face as they navigate the different terrains of public education. When I was assigned to a SADAI class for my student teaching, though I was happy that such class existed for them, I knew I was not the right person to lead it. However, I made sure within my ability and limited skill that the students received as much academic instruction as I could provide them. I began my formal teaching career in San Jose in the year 2000 as an English teacher at an alternative high school for students who had not been served by their comprehensive schools. These professionally formative years taught me the importance of relationships, of transparency, and of flexibility. I learned to see the humanity in those kids, their hearts of glass encased in bodies of steel. I thought I had learned all there was to learn working with them, their probation officers, and the National Guard. Then I decided to teach middle school, and the middle schoolers had something else in mind. But that is a story for another time, I must say. I was a happy learner in middle school, though. After being an instructional coach for 2 years and summer principal in one of our partner districts just down south, I was offered the opportunity to become an elementary school principal of a dual immersion school in San Francisco. As brief as the summer school principalship had been, I learned about the influence I possessed to impact teaching and learning in a more intentional manner. As the new principal of my school, I realized that the number of Black students enrolled there was very small, and the practices of some teachers clearly focused on the rest of the students, the more visible ones. So I began the work of removing the cloak of invisibility from our underserved students' backs, tugging and pulling at it by asking simple questions about seating arrangements and classroom engagement practices, making the invisible visible, not the students, but that what was not working for them. I also had the fortune of partnering up with other departments to create an after-school program to extend Spanish language acquisition opportunities by having high school students work with our elementary school students. I also made sure that as our native Spanish speakers were providing the target language, that they also received English language skills as well, not only during the designated ELD time, but throughout the day as appropriate. After 7 years of being the principal of my elementary school, I was asked to be the principal of a middle school that had gone through challenging times and their principal had left in the middle of the school year. Although bringing middle schoolers back from distance learning and helping them get reacquainted with schooling has been one of the most challenging things I have done as an educator, the team of committed educators working with me made that experience worthwhile. There seems to be a middle school pattern in my trajectory here. Having served different communities as a site administrator inspired me to continue learning and growing as an educator. Serving as a coordinator for multilingual support services affords me the opportunity to impact teaching and learning from a different angle without losing sight of why we do the work we do. The partnerships and relationships established and the ones to come with people who are directly challenging the status quo of our school system inform the work that must be done to change the learning experience of our historically underserved students from early education all the way to high school. This work goes to the heart of our organization's strategic plan, supporting whole child student outcomes through strong advocacy and partnerships. I am honored and privileged to be part of an organization that reflects my values not only as an educator, but as a human being. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this family and for inviting me this evening.
Thank you y bienvenido. For item 4B is the introduction of Ho Nguyen, Coordinator, Science, Math, and Technology, Educational Services Division. Coordinator Nguyen.
Good evening, Board Vice President Torres, members of the board, and Superintendent McGee, and guests and team members. My name is Ho Nguyen, and I'm honored to be here this evening as a member of the San Mateo County Office of Education team. I joined the Curriculum and Instruction Services Department on July 1st with Luis as coordinator of Math, Science, and Computer Science. I bring particular strengths in my experience teaching math and supporting math teachers. I feel grateful to Gwen and the team for being welcoming, supportive, and already pushing me to learn more and even become better together. My journey to becoming a math educator started with my own experience, immigrating to America with my family as a refugee from the Vietnam War. What I witnessed was our family struggling and overcoming cultural shock and poverty to find success through hard work and education. The latter, I was convinced, was the equalizer for anyone. That was my purpose for becoming a math teacher, to make sure I would teach underprivileged students the math they lacked, so they would have the opportunity afforded through education. It was years later that I realized I was one of many saviors of my Black and brown kids, and that I was not making as much difference as I had wanted to achieve. After many years of experiences with my students and their families, fellow teachers, education professors, partners, and my colleagues, and with painful reflections of harm that I caused along the way, I realized that my students, our Black and brown students in particular, didn't need any saving. They needed to be in spaces that cared about them as human beings, that the adults had high expectations of them for learning, that they are seen as smart and capable, and that as many of the daily systemic barriers were removed, then they would achieve academically and flourish to be the best of who they are and to reach the life goals they dreamed for themselves. They didn't need any fixing, nor lacked anything. Additionally, I was able to realize how much language, culture, and different ways of thinking and being enriched me and the communities I was a part of, as well as adding to the deeper ways of understanding mathematics. I grew up in San Francisco, attended public schools there, taught in San Francisco for 10 years in high schools, and became a math TOSA for 11 years. And most recently, a program administrator for the last 9 years supporting K-12 math and computer science in San Francisco. My recent work there was about supporting my team of TOSAs to help teachers create daily equitable experiences in the math classrooms and to support teacher leaders to reculture their teams and departments to become more of a learning community centered on a vision of powerful, equitable classrooms. I have a clear vision of what equitable math classrooms sounds like and look like, and what equitable teacher learning communities can be. I have been part of a team that helps provide teachers with strategies and tools to build such classrooms and communities, while simultaneously working to challenge or grow their values and beliefs about math and students, so they don't see themselves as only saviors and see that all of our students are brilliant mathematically brilliant. And they can only see the brilliance of each student if they see math as expansive, including sense-making, multiple ways of thinking, and being creative, versus math as narrow, as in a set of steps and rules to follow. What brings me to SMCOE is the county's vision, mission, and goals. In particular, disrupting inequitable practices and replacing them with equity-driven, transparent systems. Improving outcomes for historically and currently underserved student groups, honoring their strengths and talents. Honoring their strengths is really hard to do. That's not the society we live in. Continuing to educate ourselves so we are better able to confront and dismantle systemic inequities, and centering voices of those who have been historically marginalized and underserved. These are in alignment with my mission and values, and I look forward to continuing my work in San Mateo County and to bring these to science and computer science as well. These are also in alignment with the new California math framework, which I will work with my partner, Kim, to roll out in our schools and districts. Lastly, who you see in front of me is an Asian male person who by title and appearance looks like he would be good in math. I fit a stereotype, and that is sad. But do you know that I am a slow math learner and I make lots of mistakes when I do math? Yet I do consider myself good at it, as I believe the same for each and every one of our students. Thank you for your time and giving me this opportunity to work for the students of San Mateo County.
Thank you and welcome. For item 5A, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the August 21st, 2024 regular board meeting as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion to approve the minutes of the August 21, 2024 regular board meeting made by trustee Gerard and a second by trustee Cannon. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0, and the minutes of the August 21st, 2024 regular board meeting have been approved. Item 6 is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is not debatable and requires a unanimous vote for passage. An item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular order of business for separate discussion and action if any board member, the superintendent, or the public so requests. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion to approve the consent agenda made by trustee Camacho and a second by trustee Alvaro. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0, and the consent agenda has been approved. For item 7A, Chris Schaus, Associate Superintendent, Educational Services Division, and Sarah Notch, Executive Director, Center for Access and Engagement, will provide a report on the opening of San Mateo County Office of Education, Student Programs. Associate Superintendent Schaus and Executive Director Notch, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll take it. I don't usually get that welcome, but thank you guys. Good evening, Board Vice President, Mr. Torres, board members, Superintendent McGee, and our full audience this evening. I'd be remiss if I started the presentation without calling out a few folks that Sarah Light did so well at. But you can't have this conversation, and I get the honor of being able to stand up here and be the one that gets to present it. But there are folks across the board that are boots on the ground making this happen to open our schools. That includes our IT departments, our business departments, our
teachers, certificated and classified, that are hopefully at home resting and getting ready for our kids tomorrow. But we also have several members in our audience that I want to make sure also get represented in this evening's work. So if you can stand for me, our Director of School Programs, Dr. Jesus Jimenez. Sorry, buddy. Our Principal of Court and Community, Dr. Ramos. Principal of Special Services, Alan Polino. Principal of Ann Campbell Center, Heather Logan. And I didn't forget you, our Coordinator of School Programs, Laura Condicetti. This evening, again, it really is a pleasure to be able to talk about how we open schools. You've seen numbers similarly in the past, but this is kind of what our landscape looks like as we open school programs. Our student enrollment, I think it's also fair to look at what was in the past so that you guys kind of get some perspective of what that looks like. Student enrollment at special services is at 44. Last year at this time, we are at 41. Some highlight pieces that we should also be aware of is this year we were able through staffing to be able to uncombo a class. That class is in autism. So we are able to run 2 different classes, which allows really us to be responsive to referrals that come in from districts. Whereas before our program would have been filled, really by being able to uncombo those classes, we now have opportunities to be able to support more districts as we get some of those rolling enrollments through new identified students during the school year. Also a big piece in looking at early start, we were at 40 last year, you now see 53. So that kind of is giving you a good comparison as to where we're headed with our early start programming as well. And then you'll see ECE and our SDC preschool. Those are pulled out separately this year as they've been in the past under just the ECE title. So we did think it was important for folks to recognize we do have placements within SDC preschool as well. So you'll start to see us put line items in there to represent both of those data pieces in addition. Gateway at the time of, and a lot moves within 2 weeks, as you guys know, within schools, but we had 12 at the time with 1 pending. That now is a full 13 that we're looking at. The one that I don't really want to report because it means that something isn't necessarily great in the community all the time. But Hillcrest is actually up. So Hillcrest, we have some folks that made decisions, but we want to be able to support them in getting back to their schools as quickly as possible when that's appropriate. But that number is actually up. So 9 was our Hillcrest enrollment we started last year. You're seeing 14 there. Kind of mirrors a little bit of what probation has anticipated with being still within the double-digit pieces, but underneath the 20 count. Kemp, you'll see a 0 at, so Kemp is not currently open by design from probation at the moment. They are still working on what that may look like for programming in the future. Then Canyon Oaks, like I said, lots changes between publication and then time period. So at the time of report, it's 7. It is now actually 10. So that is what our enrollment looks like. We do have some current vacancies. We're working closely with HR to make sure that we get those filled as quickly as possible. Some of those were later retirements or staff that picked up other positions right prior to school. So we are working on remedying that, but have at this point been able to either through variable or other options, make sure that all student needs are still being served while we still have those gaps in that permanent FTE count or full-time employment account. You've seen this graphic many times. We actually use it as one of our anchor documents. We use it to be able to anchor ourselves, but also to anchor kind of staff and where we're headed. So this is the start of the 3rd year that I've gotten to do this. So all things are moving in the direction of what we believe to be true at the time. But if you recall, we really set course at the beginning of this journey, talking about really what you saw in a lot of our coordinators that were able to present their stories today. But it was about understanding our stories and really looking at the social emotional dive that we have as the people that are showing up for our students. And we spent the first year really kind of diving into how we experience the world is how we walk into our classrooms and treat our students. And some of those things are positive and some of those things are things that weren't positive for us. And then we've just continued those. So we spent that first year unpacking that piece. And then by that spring, we had looked at the strategic alignment of working with staff to say, what are those cardinal things that we think we can make a difference and change within our schools, which was where we formed the first few pieces of our whole child setup of academic, behavior, and social emotional responses. We did an incredible amount of professional development last year, including opportunities to be able to get folks to different conferences and different workshops that they also were able to elevate their learning and bring those things back to the classroom. The area that we have been in, and as you guys remember from the LCAP and looking at what those metrics pieces and those additional pieces are that we've been pushing on, is the idea that now we're living in the zone of, we've learned a lot, we've started to shift some of the practices, but we've got to have the data to be able to support that. So that is why we went through that big launch piece of moving to the next 3-year piece on LCAP of really redefining those goals and what those metrics are going to be. And the 2 areas of major focus are, how are we using that in our professional learning communities with student artifacts and student data? And then how are we responding to those practices? So those last 2 road trip pieces are really the cycle of continuous improvement that we were looking to get to. And we've arrived there at being able to really put things into place and see how they're working. Additional piece, just as a reminder of the whole child learning environment, there are tiers 1, 2, and 3 within every single one of these, and it really is about matching the needs of our students. So a lot of the pieces that we're working on with individual learning plans, it's not about just the graduation tracking or what we know the data to be telling us directly from a school district. This is about meeting a student's needs. So when we talk about individual learning plans, it means us as the adults have to sit down and say, how is this student best learning? What are we going to try? How do we change the dynamics and the paradigm of what's happening in the classroom to see if it actually does match the best way that our students are learning in order to support them? And that really is the focus of where we're headed within our court and community schools, specifically around really looking at individual learning plans and how do we, yes, graduation is important. Yes, the data is important on all of these pieces, but there's another layer to it. And we have the utmost platform to be able to change how learning looks and to be able to meet the needs of a student in the environment that we're in. And that means that that has to be a responsiveness that we're looking at. What are our practices and are those aligning to how students are best served for outcomes in their classrooms? You'll see those 4 blue bands. Those again are not new to you guys. So we do bring those back as anchor documents for us, but it's really about our testament to how are we moving forward in our work around MTSS and making sure that we're hitting the 4 major counterparts of our responsibilities. So you will see within there the administrative responsibilities and the leadership domains. How are we showing up on campuses to be able to move that work forward? You'll also see a policy piece on the end. And then the 2 in the center really apply to how are we engaging our families and our community in the work? And then lastly, how are we really moving and building strong and positive school climates? So as we go through today's presentation of that new opening of school, you're going to see the alignment to those 4 pieces. So preparing and launching our first couple of days back. So we always get 2 days to be able to work with staff at the Ann Campbell Center. Again, amazing things happening. These are aligned to their strategic plan pieces of really bolstering information and knowledge about what's happening in mental health. They did have a presentation piece that talked about regionally what is happening within the mental health statistics in San Mateo County. And that included the resources of how providers can actually make sure that families and students have those resources in addition. And then we also had a special shout out to Janet Max. She is one of our own that was able to really provide an experiential in-service for other staff members. And what she was able to do is replicate really what it looks like to have vision impairment for our students. And she did that in an experiential way that focused on the degenerative nature of the disease, the eyesight functions, as well as what that does to the brain mechanics and the struggles that students go through on the social emotional side. But doing that not only provided best practices of how to work with learners that have a disadvantage or a challenge in this area, but it also provides a deep level of empathy and pause for, are we doing this well and can we be doing it better? At Special Services, we also kicked off those 2 days, really looking at a collaborative function. This is strongly where our IT folks and our business folks really moved into space with Special Services and looking at what can we do within our classroom spaces. So a lot of the research has indicated that you have to have rooms and learning environments that are set up to be able to meet the needs of learners. And they really went through a collaborative process with their teachers, behavior teams, IT staff, to make sure that their classrooms were engaged in a way that would allow learners more flexibility and meet the needs of ADA requirements and other pieces of best practices for access. One of those big pieces also included looking at large screen interactive TVs that allowed our students to be a little bit more flexible with their hand movements and their ability to be able to access material that teachers are using within the classroom curriculum wise. And then at Court and Community, to prepare and launch in those 2 days, really focusing in on looking at what do individual learning plans look like? How do we continue to move on positive behavior intervention supports and really engaging inside the classroom? So as we know, kind of coming back to expectations, and are we setting them? Do we understand how to teach them? And do we understand how to help students be able to get into that place of relearning when it's necessary, and what the reentry levels are when students may not always make the best choice, but have an opportunity to be able to come back to that. 5-Star platform is our PBIS platform that allows students to be able to earn points. You've heard me talk a little bit about that previously. We also had some exchanges with Aries that have updated and allowed different pieces to be able to be accessible for our data pieces with staff, and of course, Big 5 training to be able to kind of handle our immediate needs or action responses in the event something were to happen. And I am going to be passing it off to my counterpart, who I also do not recognize, but she's up here, so I'll let her recognize herself as well.
Good evening. I would love to call Sarah Light up here to give another anecdote, but I won't. You did such a beautiful job of illustrating how human and incredible our programs are. And we are in full swing at Ann Campbell Center. We have some returning students. Some, as Sarah explained, have aged out of our programs. They're going to continue to reach eligibility age throughout the year. And our inclusive preschool program allows us to say yes to families who just consistently hear no, because we're equipped to help serve and support those needs. And that's a deeply personal and meaningful configuration for me, and to be able to open up experiences for not only the students, but for their families and caregivers as well. One of the other exciting expansions is our new preschool SDC class. So this is in response to the need across the county in our districts for placements for preschool students, and having our inclusive opportunities just allows us to provide a very rich and inspirational experience for students, so that they have positive peer models, they have lots of different learning spaces and opportunities to interact with children their age. Our Special Services Center was a beautiful thing to witness this year at the opening of school, because I remember when we started setting up our additional instructional spaces, we spent a whole summer with boxes and furniture moving, and such great collaboration from our facilities team and our IT team. And we really transformed and added some instructional spaces that we don't often have the opportunity to provide for students in school settings. And what I was able to witness in the beginning of the school year at our Special Services Center was a total generalization of skills that have been built carefully over the past couple of years through not only the curriculum and instruction, but also the environmental and behavioral design with evidence-based practices. Our students just got right back into their routines, and they were efficient and just getting right into their work opportunities right away. And so usually we expect to have a little bit of a re-entry because they've been off for summer break, but it was smooth and wonderful to see. So it's such a testament to the staff in that program. And then at our Court and Community schools, we have really focused on building those opportunities for social emotional learning tied to our LCAP metrics. And so to provide more flexibility, we have expanded our course offerings. We're driving the development of our individual learning plans based on the students' needs within the first couple of weeks of school. And we were able to add in a community builder and closer at the beginning and the end of each day, so that we're providing that space for the social emotional learning opportunities for our entire community. And part of our community and culture building is also introducing some new spaces at our Corton Community Schools as well. So we have a wellness center, a game room, and there's been a lot of facilities improvements that I know we've shared with you before. So really focusing on creating a warm, caring, and nurturing environment across all of our school sites. And part of that is welcoming families into those warm and caring, nurturing environments. And you'll see that we're going to be very busy between now and the beginning of October. We have several upcoming events to welcome families and caregivers. This also aligns with some of our LCAP metrics around family and caregiver engagement. So we're excited to be able to start inviting them into our spaces for this school year. And we're excited to invite you into our spaces this school year and show you all the work that we've been doing along that continuum that Associate Superintendent Schaus showed you, that roadmap. So you can see how we've grown over the past year. We have identified some fall and spring visit opportunities for you and are looking forward to being able to continue to share information about all of the growth and opportunities for our students for the 2024-25 school year. And with that, we're happy to take any questions you may have.
Are there any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Gerard?
Yes, I was wondering in our Ann Campbell Center where our enrollments are 3 and we have pending. Are we expecting a lot more students to apply for those two programs?
Yes, so we know that there's a need in the county for preschool spaces. We'll see a lot of turnover as students age out, but then also reach eligibility age. So we're working to get word out, so to do some outreach for recruitment and enrollment so that folks know what an amazing program we have and it can be an option for their families. And then we're also making sure that our school districts know about all the different opportunities for SDC placement in conjunction with our SELPA. So working in partnership with our Administrators Council of the SELPA and letting them know that we have those opportunities as well. So we know there's a need and we have built capacity to serve the need, and we're looking forward to being able to bring you double digits numbers soon. We think we'll hit it.
I was going to ask what the capacity would be if we had full enrollment.
We are still working out the number of spaces that we will be allotted for our California State preschool program. We're hoping to increase the number of spaces. Last year we had 8. So we're hoping to grow that this year. That's still in progress. And then I believe the capacity, I'm going to turn to Principal Logan, for the SDC preschool is 8.
And Trustee Gerard, just to add that the SDC classroom is our old preschool program, a segregated classroom for students with multiple disabilities. And we have not run that program since COVID.
Okay.
So this is the very first time we've been fully staffed and able to open enrollment again since we closed in March of 2020.
Okay.
And this was our very first week. So
That's good news.
3 in the first week is great.
So, well, I was hoping people would be beating down the door when you open, but no, that's very encouraging. Thank you very much.
Trustee Cannon?
So I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed, Luis, your introduction to yourself. Terrific. And Ho, same thing. Really inspiring to see the quality of educators that we've attracted, and we wish you all the best. Just terrific. And Chris and Sarah, wow, sounds like another great year for you professionals, you wonderful professionals. And I see your administrators back there, Kim giving a smile to Ho, looking forward to working with him and the nice camaraderie that you folks seem to have with each other. It's just terrific. So thanks a lot.
Other questions or comments? Thank you. Are there any comments from the public? There is no action to take on this item. We can clap. For item 7B, the public hearing concerning sufficiency of textbooks and or instructional materials is now open. Would anyone like to speak on this issue? The hearing is now closed. There is no action to take on this item. For item 7C, Sarah Notch, Executive Director, Center for Access and Engagement, will provide an update on resolution number 24-43, sufficiency of textbooks and or instructional materials. Executive Director Notch.
Apologies, Board Vice President. I'm going to actually take this one. Keeping in alignment with the public hearing that you just opened and closed, this is a sufficiency article. It basically indicates our adoptions that are currently in effect. We have provided you with the list of what is current and verified that those are in compliance with where what is currently applied and given to students within classrooms. We have verified with staff, and staff is recommending approval of acknowledgement that we have met the sufficiency requirement.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Are there any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve resolution number 24-43?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion to approve resolution number 24-43 made by trustee Gerard and a second by trustee Cannon. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0 and resolution number 24-43 has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8A is superintendent's comments. Superintendent McGee, do you have any comments to share?
I have a few brief comments tonight. I want to begin by just thanking our school principals and director Jimenez for being here tonight, for launching a positive school year, for being there every single day, supporting students and their families. This is our work, and this is the work. This is why Sarah Light tells us we love our jobs. And I think it's true for each one of us that we come for the students and we try to create those positive, encouraging, nurturing environments while also helping our students grow and move forward. So thank you for being here tonight. The introductions of our other two staff members are just indications of our deepening commitment at the County Office of Education to disrupting inequities that are baked into our systems. We want to change the trajectory for every child who comes in behind and send them out ahead and full of confidence and self-efficacy. And that's our goal. So it's been a positive start to the school year. I know that the PowerPoint that Chris and Sarah shared included a slide of dates for school visits, and I will put that into an email and put it at your fingertips in a different way so you can check the dates. I will also send out calendar invites so you can accept the dates that you're able to attend. And we look forward to having you on campus this year. Tomorrow, we will meet in our first leadership seminar here in this room. The 80 plus managers in the organization. We will be working through the morning with our consultant, Dr. Lori Watson, who has been helping us move deeply on our equity journey. And she will work with the managers in the morning, and then in the afternoon is providing a 2-hour racial equity training for all other staff in the building. So it will be a full day of deep dive equity work here tomorrow. Having said all of that about the positives, and I did attend the Redwood City Chamber Education Committee meeting today, and did have several superintendents call out our staff for the incredible leadership work they're doing in their school districts. Redwood City is benefiting from our MTSS team and leadership there, and they're making impact that is reaching all the way into the classrooms and classroom practices. So there's so much good going on, but I cannot go through tonight's comments without sending deep felt thoughts to 4 families in Georgia tonight whose children did not come home from school. Additionally, 9 families whose children are in the hospital and recovering from gun violence. I've had a long career, 40 years, and I cannot ever manage these emotions. I know what it is to have a community ripped up and lives destroyed within minutes by gun violence. And I know the loss that will be with our world forever because a young person somehow went astray in their mental health or their support networks and made a very, very bad, violent decision to hurt other people. So having said that, I am looking forward to 2 events that will kick off in September, culminating really great hard work that we did all last year. I'll do these out of order because the first event is September 30th. It is the Coalition for Safe Schools and Communities annual breakfast. We've been doing work deeply across agencies and systems and building deep partnerships and strengthening partnerships and broadening our influence in schools to help keep students safe every day. It's no guarantee, but we will celebrate our work on September 30th, and we will be releasing a plan called United for Youth, which is it's called United for Youth Vision 2030, and will be a roadmap for addressing gaps supporting youth mental health in this county for the next 6 years. Looking forward to releasing that report, announcing all the funding that's being initiated because of the work that is represented in the report, and looking forward to celebrating that proactive and positive work as much as we can do every single day to avoid situations that occurred today in Georgia. Another launch of a strategic plan that I honestly am not sure if the board received information about it, but it is the Big Lift strategic plan launch. Last year, we worked on a strategic plan for the Big Lift, what we call 2.0. And the Big Lift has been operating under that strategic plan for a good 6, 7, 8 months now. But we're just celebrating the launch of the plan. This event will be held on September 25th, so Wednesday, from 10:30 to 12:30 in the new building at the county center. They have a little nickname for that building, which is escaping me right now, but I'll make sure that Jennifer Perna gets that invite out to you. If you haven't already received it, it might have come across your email. But looking forward to those 2 events because they reflect countywide, cross-agency, collective impact work that is absolutely necessary to make sure that every child in San Mateo County can grow and thrive in a supportive and healthy environment. So that concludes my comments for tonight, other than to say Ms. Alvaro will be celebrating her birthday on September 14th. And that is the weekend of the Monterey County Boards Conference. I'm also looking forward to seeing Board Member Gerard, Board Member Torres, and Board Member Camacho in Monterey. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Superintendent McGee. For item 9A, the board will discuss and/or act on 2 categories of nominations for CSBA Directors at Large, Asian Pacific Islander and Hispanic. Information on the nominations is included in your board packets. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Are there any comments from the public? Are there nominations in any category? One second, sorry. Okay. There is no further action to take. For item 9B, is there a motion to approve resolution number 24-44, implementing board policy 9250 to compensate Susan Alvaro for her absence from the August 21st, 2024 board meeting due to illness?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion to approve resolution number 24-44 made by trustee Camacho and a second by trustee Cannon. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0 and resolution number 24-44 has been approved.
Excuse me, Mr. Torres, it's 4-0. I
Sorry.
abstain.
Thank you. The motion passes with a vote of 4-0 and resolution number 24-44 has been approved. For item 9C, when an ad hoc subcommittee meets or a representative attends a meeting related to their given assignment, board members may choose to bring a report to the board at this time. Would any board members like to report out? Are there any comments or questions from the board? Are there any comments from the public? There is no action to take on this item. For item 9D, board members will comment. Trustee Alvaro?
Thank you. I just wanted to, I wasn't here last meeting, and I wanted to thank you all for acknowledging CMT Awareness Month. As CMT, which I have, can be a hidden disease. It causes huge difficulties for children, and it's often not diagnosed until much later. I was diagnosed when I was, I think, 52, but I had it all my life. So for many children, it's too late for occupational physical therapies that might make a difference. And for some, I have a mild form. That's not true of everybody. So it's important to talk about it and raise awareness, because I mean, when I was first diagnosed, I had to go back and explain to my GP what it was. So we've come a long way. But the hope is that educators can begin to notice the signs early, as they do with hearing and vision problems. And it would make a big difference for children. My childhood would have been very different if adults around me had known what was wrong and not just thought that I was a clumsy kid. So when I hear the passion of the educators, especially like the ones we met tonight, who are working with children who need a bit more support and encouragement, I am so grateful to them. And I am so filled with hope for the differences that they are making in the lives of the children that we serve. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Camacho?
No report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gerard?
Thank you. First of all, I want to say I am really looking forward to the conference next weekend, and I think it will be excellent. Looking forward to being able to participate in our San Mateo County Office of Education session on understanding and advocating for literacy for all students. And I'm also doing another one on what county board members do. Isn't that a novel concept? But one that needs to be addressed at every single training and meeting we have. I've also, as you know, been working on the transitional working group with the CCBE people that have been put on the committee, and we will be presenting, or I should say CSBA will be presenting our recommendations to CSBA on the 9th of September. It will be sent out, and county board members will see what we're asking CSBA to do for us in the future. We're hoping that that will be accepted by the CSBA Board of Directors at their meeting in December, which is when it'll be voted on. So we'll see what happens. There are a few other things in the works that I'll be able to probably share with the board very soon that are very exciting. And with that, I want to say how nice it was to meet our new employees. Very excited about their passion and their dedication to what they do. And it can only add to the success of our students. And also congratulations on school opening. That's exciting as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Cannon.
Well, I wanted to thank Susan for sharing that with us. You know, it's I'm always surprised, like we went to a workshop on dyslexia in the spring, how many things there are to learn about people having different challenges. When in our day growing up, everybody was supposed to be the same, and if you weren't, you were inadequate in some respect. So it really is a good thing to learn about. So thank you, Susan, for sharing that.
Thank you. Liaison Zhao?
To start off, it is absolutely amazing to be back, and I hope that everyone's been doing well. I'd like to share a little bit about what I've been up to. To start off, I've met with a few congressional offices about how federal legislation can promote equity within the American Legion's youth programs. And from those experiences, I feel that I've learned more about government and the legislative process, and I've honestly enjoyed every minute. Recently, I was also a part of a panel called Democracy and Disagreement. It is modeled after Stanford professor Paul Brest's class, Democracy and Disagreement, which essentially seeks to highlight how in a democracy, we all have different opinions. And that's beautiful because it reflects just how diverse we as a nation are. And one key takeaway I got from that event was that we live in deeply polarized times, but we as people are all just trying to make our communities better, even though we all have different ideas about how to make that happen. So while we might not always agree, I think that goodwill and the fact that we're all just people trying to make the world a better place is enough. That's all from me.
Well, I can't follow that, but I'm always amazed to hear all the work that you're doing. So thank you. And just welcome to our new staff, and thank you to our county office, all of our teachers and staff that make our schools and programs so successful. Item 10 is the adjournment. So the next regular meeting will take place on Wednesday, September 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. This meeting is now adjourned.